Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paw Talk, which is our free monthly educational webinar. I'm Dwight with Sentinella Feed and your host for tonight. As usual, we'll be keeping the presentation to about 15 to 20 minutes with a short Q&A session at the end. So feel free to type in any questions you have in the chat box anytime during the presentation. If we don't have time to get to your question, we will be replying to all questions via email. So, maintaining a healthy feline urinary tract is of paramount importance for the overall health and well-being of your cats. So this can also help mitigate urinary tract infections and kidney issues. So that said, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Nancy Schmid from Pioneer Pet Products. And Sentinella Feed has been selling Pioneer Pet Products for many years now, and having 5 cats of my own, I've become quite a fan of their products. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about the line. So I will let Nancy take it away.
Thanks, Dwight, and welcome everyone. I'm going to share my screen here and we'll get started. Hang on. Slideshow. Sorry. From the beginning. Okay. As Dwight mentioned, I work with Pioneer Pet Products, and Pioneer is a company that primarily makes cat products. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of give you a little bit of information about us. We are headquartered in Wisconsin, small town called Cedarburg. We pride ourselves in the development and manufacturing of purposeful functional products for cats. We've been manufacturing cat products since the 1990s. The scratching post you see in this picture was literally our first product. Our founder's wife was a cat behaviorist and started catsinternational.org, and she started making scratching posts just to help cats get adopted. We then got into the pet fountain business, and we manufacture a lot of variety of pet fountains. We also take care of the sticky paws behavior modification to try to prohibit destructive scratching in pets. And then about 10 years ago, we started development of our Smart Cat natural litters that are grown right here in the Midwest. So today we're going to actually talk about feline urinary tract health and some of the things we should look out for, and maybe some choices we can make for our cats to help improve that. Feline urinary tract disease, referred to as FLUTD, is one of the most frequent reasons cats visit veterinarians today. It covers a wide range of disorders, anywhere from kidney issues, bladder, the urethra, and these disorders could have common causes, infection, diet, stress-related, as well as cats not drinking enough water. These diseases can be very easy to treat, like a urinary tract infection, or can be very difficult. So we're going to talk about some common signs to look out for, to just be aware of should your cat present any of these. The first one is inappropriate urination. Inappropriate urination is anytime the cat is going outside of its litter box. It's very common to see them go on your bedding, in your laundry basket, just a lot of places where you really wouldn't want them to go, but definitely not using their litter box. Another symptom is frequent attempts to urinate. You may see them, stop, try to urinate, then 5 minutes later you see them again, and it's like every 5 or 10 minutes, it's like, what cat are you doing? You also see them when they do urinate straining. So the example I have here is kind of just a picture of, a very tense cat. Their back is arched, their head is like downwards, like they're just trying to crunch and get out what they can. You may hear them cry as they urinate because there is some pain there. Just another example of something to look for. Excessive licking of the genital region. If your cat is consistently licking and trying to clean themselves more than typical, then that is something to think about. on any of these things, if your cat is exhibiting any of these symptoms, or if their behavior has changed to any severe degree that makes you concerned, please schedule a veterinary visit as soon as possible. It could be something simple, but it also could be something that is not going to be fixed without a visit to the pet. So the next thing we want to talk about is how do we keep our cats healthy and support urinary tract health. The first thing is less stress. Less stress is best. It provides a safe and positive environment for your cat. They don't like change. Bringing in another cat, a new household member, visitors in the house, just disruption is stressful to them. Make sure you maintain a healthy weight for your cat. Use proper diets and make sure they have plenty of toys and things and activities that get them plenty of exercise. Make sure to keep their litter boxes clean. A clean litter boxes reduces the amount of bacteria that's exposed to the cat. So it's extremely important to keep your litter box clean. And then make sure they have clean, fresh water access at all times. So, in speaking of clean, fresh water at all times, we're going to talk about one of the products or categories that you guys can look at to actually help your cat drink more water and improve their overall health. So, not sure if everybody's aware of this, but cats, unlike dogs, don't look to hydrate. It's just something that they don't think about. A 10-pound cat should be drinking about a cup of water per day. And, cat isn't really enticed by standing water. It just, that they're bored by it. So it may not encourage them to actually go over and drink. With the development of pet fountains in the 1990s, their whole purpose was to help improve urinary tract conditions in cats through increased hydration. Kind of the main reasons about them is because in the wild, cats will come to a river or something, they see it moving. So cats are curious, they are attracted to the sound and the movement of water. So it will bring them over to the drinking area. The fountain water actually stays cooler than standing water in a bowl. As the water moves through, it actually gets oxygenated, and the oxygenated water is actually healthier for your cat because it delivers oxygen through their bloodstream directly to their organs. And then fountain water is actually filtered with charcoal filter, so it removes debris and bacteria that could be lingering in your drinking bowl or fountain. And just so you know, fountains are not for cats only. Dogs do love fountains. So I'm going to show you a cute little short video from the launch of our Swan Fountain, which is probably one of our most popular fountains. For those of you who have cats who like to drink from the faucet, you will totally get this.
Have a pet that loves to drink out of the sink? Did you know not only is this unhealthy for you, but can be dangerous for your pet and is a terrible waste of water? Introducing the Swan Fountain from Pioneer Pet. Simply plug your Swan Fountain into the wall, add water, and the charcoal filter will dispense fresh, clean water for your pet. This unique fountain also includes a USB connection. Works great for multi-pet families. The Swan Fountain by Pioneer Pet. The healthy and innovative solution to your pet's water drinking habits.
Okay, so now you've decided that you need to get a fountain for your pet. How do you select the right one and what things should you consider? The first thing is really to look around your house and identify potential areas where you could place a water fountain. Keep in mind that the pumps inside the fountains require electricity to run, so being able to plug into a wall outlet somewhere is critical. We do have some now that run off of a USB plug, and you could use portable chargers for them, but you're going to have to constantly, change out the chargers every few days. But that's something you could potentially do. What kind of capacity do you need? As we referenced before, a cat needs to drink about a cup of water a day. So in a 1-cup household, some of the smaller fountains out there are about 50 ounces. So that's about 5 days considering evaporation and everything. So keep that in mind. There are larger fountains, even multi-species fountains that go up to 2 gallons or more. The next thing to consider would be what material preference, and this is really a personal preference. There's a lot of plastic fountains on the market today. They're fairly economical and the components are pretty much the same. A lot of stainless steel fountains out there. Sometimes they're a little bit easier to clean because you can just soak them in vinegar water and they come and polished out. Ceramic fountains, there's a lot of ceramic fountains on the market as well. Keep in mind that most of them, like I know our ceramic fountains, they're pretty heavy. And if you're carrying it with water, you know, it can get a little bit heavy. And if you drop them, they will break. So just keep that in mind. How many parts the fountains you're looking at has. There are some older fountains on the market that might have 8 or 9 pieces you have to assemble to put together. Some have reservoirs, and keep in mind that with a reservoir, you're going to be removing that from your fountain and carrying it to your sink and refilling it. And then you're carrying a full reservoir back and flipping it back over to put into your base. If you're filling it in between cleanings. So just things to consider there. And then is there a bowl or basin that will provide available water or not? And that's primarily if for some reason the power fails or the pump fails. So for example, in our Swan fountain, it holds 80 ounces of water. But if the pump fails or there's a power loss at the house, the water is still all available right there to the cat. Another example would be, this is another faucet type fountain, but there's actually a top plate on the top of this fountain. So if for some reason the water would stop pumping, all of the water would go down into the bottom of the basin, and so your pet would not have access to water. So if you're looking at a fountain like this, which is absolutely fine, but you're going to be gone for any length of time, always make sure there's another water source for your pet. So now that you've bought your fountain and you've had it home, you know, what do you need to do next? The first thing is to unpack all the parts, kind of get familiar with how everything works, how the pump works, and do read the instruction manual so that you are very confident with how that pump gets installed and your filter and what you should be looking for. Assemble it all together. Some will tell you to go ahead and pre-wash everything typically. Assemble it all together and then confirm that it's operating properly with water in it. If you're hearing noise from the pump or a sucking sound or something, you could have an issue with the pump. There's little things inside like an impeller that might not be seated correctly or whatever. And there's some troubleshooting guides. I put ours down at the bottom that can help you figure out whether you have an issue with your pump or not. Some pumps actually will have a little lever on the front that can control the flow of water. So if you're not getting good water flow, check your pump because there just might be a little dial that will actually increase the water flow for you. And then just set it in place for your pet to use. Some cats you may see might be a little bit, you know, skittish at first or resistant, but just leave it down there and see how they do. Also make sure to have it in a safe place, like depending on the type of flooring you have, you may want to use a tray or a mat or whatever to put it on. Young cats, extremely young cats, once they see this water pouring, they get kind of excited and they'll start playing in it. So you might get some splashing activity going. So just always keep in mind, you know, that you could have some cats that have decided to use it as a play pool. As far as maintenance goes, the recommendation is always to change your filters every 2 to 4 weeks. It really depends on the number of pets that are using it and how frequently they use it. And then it's really easy to just clean the rest of the fountain when you're changing the filter. That way you just start fresh every time. Again, I put a reference in here to our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of different YouTube channels out there on multiple products there. The last thing is to always maintain a proper water level. You need to have, you know, at least an inch of water just to protect the pump. If it gets too low, the pump will start sucking air, it will get hot and it will burn out. And that's probably the most common cause of a pump failure. But, you know, you need the water level there for your cat. So, you know, keep it as high as you can and just fill it every day. So now that we've kind of talked a lot about hydration, the next thing we want to talk about that Pioneer Pet Products can help you with is actually your litter environment. So it is important to protect your pet's urinary tract health, and litter is an important part of that because that's where bacteria is housed mostly that cats could be exposed to. So first, as we all know, cats are really particular. I have learned that litter is a very personal thing in every household out there, and there is not one perfect solution that fits all, because every cat is different and every cat owner is different and every house is different. But the first thing to think about is your litter boxes. You know, what size do you need? Where do you put them? Do you get covered, uncovered? There's a lot of automatic litter boxes out there that make your life easier. I'm just throwing a couple examples on here. So like the first one, the little litter box with the kitty in it, a couple things wrong with that. The litter box has to be big enough for the cat to get in and comfortably turn around to do its stuff. Secondly, most litters, you need 3 to 4 inches for them to adequately clump and do their job. And there's definitely not enough litter in that little litter box. The covered litter box, there's a lot of covered litter boxes on the market. They do a fine job. A lot of cats will accept them. Kind of the general consensus is they're probably not the preferred box. And that's mostly because the odors will sit inside the covered box because there's not enough air to dissipate and allow them to escape. And so some cats may not use a covered litter box simply because they can smell another cat there, or it's just the odors are there. Also, if you're using a clumping litter with a covered litter box, you may see weakened performance and not good clumping simply because, again, it can't dry up enough because there's not enough residual air in the box. The other 2 litter boxes I have here, the corner gray box is our Smart Cat litter box. Centinela sells both of these boxes. I always used that corner box. It was the favorite for my location in my laundry room. It's a large size box. The sides of it are like 19 inches and it's a very heavy duty plastic. The other litter box I show here is our original litter box. It's the ultimate litter box, and it's got the high back, and that's for cats that may spray a little bit when they urinate versus, urinate down into the litter. So just some things to think about. What type of litter? We're not going to go a lot into that today. There's just a lot of choices, as you can see from the shelf I put here. Within clay litter, you have clay clumping litter, and then you have traditional clay litter that doesn't clump, and it just kind of absorbs somewhat and does its thing. Crystal or litter pearls, pelleted litter, and then there's a lot of natural litters out there made from a wide variety of ingredients, from tofu to walnuts to corn to wheat. So again, it's just a matter of what your pet has shown you that they like and what you prefer as well. Scented or unscented, there's a lot of scented litters out there as well as a lot of unscented litters. The only thing I will say here is, again, it's personal preference, but cats tend to mostly prefer an unscented litter simply because there's no odors there to irritate their respiratory tract. Clumping or not, as I mentioned before, clumping is kind of important. It does help retain like an area in the box where when you scoop, it picks up most of the material if it's a strong clumping litter, but it helps get bacteria out of the box. And then how many litter boxes? There is a general rule of thumb, I'm sure you have all heard, that you need 1 box for each cat and then an extra one. In a 1-cat household, in a single-story house, you can probably get by with 1 litter box. But if you start having multiple cats, or if you're on 2 stories, you may want to look at a litter box on both floors so the cat doesn't have to traverse all the way through the house to do its stuff. Just helps you prevent accidents. And of course, keep it clean. Always, clean your litter box daily as much as you can. The cleaner it is, the less chance the cat could get anything on their paws that end up in their mouth, and we have an issue that we've got to deal with. So the next thing is really about our Smart Cat litters. Dwight, as he mentioned, he is a big proponent and user of our litter. Our natural litters, the my favorite feature about them is we can literally make the claim that they clump like clay every day. And we did a lot of research in the very beginning to make sure that that is what we did. Our goal was to create a natural litter that would perform as good as clay litter, because clay is the dominant material that is being utilized, but a lot of people don't like it because it's bad for the earth. You know, it's got a lot of dust, you're breathing it in, it's heavy, all those great things. So our Smart Cat litter actually clumps harder than clay, and we retain, like after 24 hours, you can drop a clump of our litter 12 inches and it'll retain 99.7% of the clump. So there's very little bacteria left in the box when you scoop. Our litter doesn't stick to the side of the box. It will actually bond stronger to itself. So it will just pop off the side of the box and leave your litter box clean. There's no scraping the bottom like you do with clay litter to try and get it all out. It's very soft on paws. Our cat acceptance rate is terrific. We are 99% dust-free, chemical-free, clay-free, and fragrance-free, and very proud of that. We are also 100% renewable, and we have ultimate biodegradability rating. So you can throw it out in your lawn, in a flower garden, not a vegetable garden, but you can just toss it and it will completely biodegrade. It's 50% lighter than clay litter, so it's easy to take home and deal with around the house. We are US grown and manufactured. And we utilize no-till farmers close to our Wisconsin plant. So it's become important to us that we deal with farmers that are within 200 miles of us. And it's just kind of one of our climate smart practices we work towards. And right now we are available in 2 different formulas, our 100% grass and our corn and wheat. Centinela has been carrying the 100% grass for quite a few years now, probably 7 or 8 years, Dwight. And then they just recently this year brought in our corn and wheat. So you have 2 options to help you provide a healthier environment for your cat. So the last thing I'm going to close with here is a cute little video. This is John Sapanich, and he is the president of our company. He is the owner's nephew, been with the company, it's probably since its beginning. And we recently did the Global Pet Expo, so I asked him to actually demonstrate the litter for us. So we're just going to shoot this away, and I'm going to kind of talk over while you watch him. So he's going to pour just water in a litter box. The one on the right with the green panel is our 100% grass, and the one on the left with the purple is our corn and wheat. And he is putting, you know, a fair amount of water in the box. There he's just showing you that we have no dust in it. And then he's going to scoop the center ones, and then he's also going to scoop the ones on the side so that you can see how we pop off the side of the box. So see, he can literally pick that up in his hand immediately already. It's not crumbling or falling apart on him. And it performs a nice little ball. It doesn't go down to the ends of the box, you know, nothing's down below. See that nice, great little, right off the edge. And that's about it. So that's all I really have today. And I think Dwight's going to open it up for questions. And I need to stop my screen. Good job.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Nancy. That was very helpful. And we do have some questions here. So let's see. All right. So how would I know if my cat is under stress?
So cats, even domestic cats, are very much like wild animals. Their instincts are the same. So they won't always show pain or fear because it makes them prey in the wild. So you really have to know your cat and really just understand when it's not acting like itself. And it could be minor things. It could be a little bit of crying there. It could be maybe not as much movement. It could be getting a little reclusive somewhere. So any behavior change with a cat is something to just raise the red flag and say, I need to look into this.
Got it. Let's see. We have another question. Is spraying an indicator of a UTI?
No, not necessarily. Spraying is more of a marking their territory type thing. Not saying it couldn't be, but if your cat was normally not a sprayer and all of a sudden starts spraying, you need to look into why it's spraying, because again, it's not normal behavior.
Got it. Let's see. Do cats need wet food or is dry food okay?
So either is okay. Wet food will give them moisture. Wet food has a higher moisture content than dry food. So they will get some hydration if they eat a wet diet. But a dry food diet is absolutely fine for them. Just make sure you always give them plenty of water and make sure they're drinking water.
Got it. Let's see. How many times should my cat urinate per day if he is drinking 1 cup of water?
Well, that's a really good question. I don't have an accurate answer for that because it may depend on the size of the cat and the bladder. I had a cat that I couldn't believe how much that cat could go. But I would imagine they're probably going 2 to 3 times a day. I'm not you're an expert for sure.
Yeah, that kind of seems to be about right for my cats as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is the activated charcoal filter safe? I've read that it can be carcinogenic.
No, it's absolutely safe, and it's actually housed inside of a cotton material. And then you should always rinse the charcoal filters before you put them in. So you rinse them. So there's really not like exposure within the charcoal. The charcoal just absorbs the bacteria.
Got it. Let's see. What is the best diet for a male cat who has a history of urinary crystals?
That would be a question for your veterinarian.
Yeah, I just from the different foods and stuff that we sell at our store, hydration is really the name of the game. So wet foods are going to be very helpful with cats that have histories with UTIs as well as raw diets as well.
Yeah.
And the very high meat content will actually help to acidify the urine base, and it helps break down struvite crystals. So just from experience at the store, we have a
Well,
good option.
and you may end up like if your cat ends up with a kidney condition. I had a cat that had kidney disease as it aged, and there are prescription diets available too to help with your kidneys.
Yeah. One of the
Specific.
things you definitely want to look for is a food that has low ash and low magnesium
Yeah.
content. That is for sure. So we have a lot of good options at the store for that. Okay, let's see. How often should you replace the water in the fountain for a one cat house?
So in a one cat house, again, it depends on the size of the fountain. But if you take in, let's say, our swan fountain, which is 80 ounces, it's about you can just add water directly to it. So as it goes down, you can take a picture and you can pour it directly in there. Typically just observe it, see if there's anything like going in, running around in there. But our recommendation is you change the filter every 2 to 4 weeks. At that point, you're changing everything anyway, because you've got to take it apart to get to the inside where the filter is. So at that point, so every couple of weeks, if you just rinse it and run fresh water.
Right. So with my fountains that I use for my cats, I just have a routine where every weekend, so once a week, I just dismantle the fountain and I just
Yep.
take it all apart. I give it a good rinse. And I was actually kind of surprised that even within 1 week's time, you can kind of start feeling, the
The
buildup on the
sludge.
side,
Yeah.
and there's a little bit of hair that kind of gets clogged up on the fountain. So
Yeah.
My routine is a weekly basis just to change the water and to give the whole fountain a good scrub down and then set it all back
Yeah.
up and then put it, get it going
Yeah,
again.
it'll help it last longer. And your cat may tell you too, because if you start seeing him drink less, it could be because the water's not fresh enough for him,
Right.
you know.
All right. Let's see. One last question. I use scoop away cat litter. Is smart cat litter easier to scoop?
Oh yeah. So and this is from my personal experience as a cat owner for 25 years. I was a Fresh Step user. So again, a clumping clay litter for 20 some odd years. And this I always tell the story to everybody because my husband refused to scoop litter, right? With my Fresh Step litter. I tried litter pearls once, the cat pooped outside the box. I'm like, nope, going back to my Fresh Step. Um, so my cats were some of the early testers for Smart Cat when we first launched it, and we brought it home, we started utilizing it. And one of the biggest difference, and if Scoop Away is anything like Fresh Step, it gets stuck to the bottom of the box and then you've got to dig through it. And clay is heavy. So when you're scooping it, you feel it. And the first time you start scooping like Smart Cat, you'll go through and it's like when you cut your hair and all of a sudden you're like through it and it's like, oh, that's amazing, because it filters so nice and then there's no dust. So I always tell people that it's the only litter that my husband would ever scoop for me.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Okay, let's see. We'll just take one last quick question. We have three cats, one being a kitten and one who is about 3 years old. Has feline herpes. How should we properly initiate feeding so symptoms can be reduced?
I can't give medical advice and I'm not familiar with feline herpes, so
Right.
I would think that's probably a better vet tech question.
Yeah, that's definitely a more vet appropriate question for sure. Anyway, all right. So with that said, that is about all the time that we have for tonight. So Nancy, again, thank you so much for your time and educating our guests tonight. And a link for a short survey will be sent to you, where upon completion, you will receive your coupons for your free bag of Smart Cat litter, as well as 20% off all pet fountains and the rest of your purchase. So thanks again for joining us. I hope this has been helpful and we'll see you again. Thanks.